Hello everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel. And if you couldn't tell by what video I'm filming, I'm sitting in my little reading corner. So I'm going to be doing my books that I read in February. So February was the month of love. So obviously I read a lot of romance books. And all the books I read are right here. So I'm going to set them down. We're going to do one book at a time. So, I'm just going to tell you what I thought about them and then my rating for each book. So, yeah, we're going to start out strong with the first book that I read in February, which was a 5-star read. It was Fearless, the last book in the Powerless trilogy. And if you couldn't see, I have all of my Powerless books right here. So this book's going to go right on the shelf. And yeah, I rated this book 5 stars, and out of all the books in this series, now I've read all of them, I honestly don't know which one's my favorite. I'm thinking Fearless actually might be my favorite. Just so much happened in it, and also look at the book comparison sizes. Why is Reckless so small? Anyways, so yes, and now that all 3 books can go on the shelf. I'll fix them in a minute. But, yes. And then the next book that I read was a little short story. I read The Housemaid's Wedding, and I read it on Kindle, so I don't own the paperback version, and it was really good. It didn't have enough, it wasn't a complete story, it was just a short story. So I give it a 3.75. It wasn't horrible, it wasn't amazing. It just was kind of there. Good. The next book I read was also on Kindle, but I am going to buy it. Hopefully, I read The Assassin's Blade, which is the prequel to Throne of Glass, but I wanted to read The Assassin's Blade first. So, that is what I read first. Also, I'm spilling kind of in the way. Come on. There. Yeah. So I read the Assassin's Blade. It was really good, but it wasn't amazing, but it was good. So I gave it a solid 4-star rating. There was about 5 short stories in it, I think, and I loved it overall. But yeah, yeah. Anyways, the next book that I read, I do a physical version of for our romance month of romance. Was actually this was my first true romance book that I read. It's a dark romance. It is Butcher and Blackbird, which it was amazing. I loved this book. I loved the spice in it. It was amazing. It wasn't too overpowering, but it was there, and I just loved it. And then I also and I rated this book a solid 4.75. It didn't quite hit the 5-star range, but it was still absolutely amazing. So, yes, I loved Butcher and Blackbird, and the dark romance aspects were amazing. I love the idea of 2 serial killers falling in love. Also, cookies and cream ice cream was not ruined for me, but it could be ruined for you. The next book that I read in February was another romance, but it's also a TV show. I read Heated Rivalry, and I loved the book. It was really spice heavy, so if you don't like books that deal with more of the physical aspects of relationships, then it's not for you. But I loved it. The TV show was amazing. It's only 6 episodes long, so they will fly through it. I was completely glued to the screen and also glued to the pages when I read the book. It was really good. It wasn't amazing, but it was still really good. I rated it 3.75 stars. It probably would have gotten to a 4-star or a 4.25 star if there was a little bit more plot to it. But overall, I really enjoyed it. The next book I read this month was a Colleen Hoover book, and you cannot go wrong with a Colleen Hoover book. I read Ugly Love, My friend actually got this book for me for early Christmas, and oh my goodness, I loved it so much. Every single book that I've ever read by Colleen Hoover has been a 4.5 or a 5 star. It's just I read It Ends With Us, or the first It Ends With and It Starts With Us was the first two books I read by her, and absolutely love them. And I know she has mixed reviews on her books, but her writing style just hooks me, and I cannot put the book down. This book was rated 4.5 stars. It was amazing. I love the way that she adds a spice in a way where it's not too detailed, but it's still there. So yeah, yeah. Um, this was a great book. The next book that I read this month, I do also own, was Wild Love by Elsie Silver. This was my first Elsie Silver book that I've ever read, and I absolutely loved it. Um, she's a very amazingly talented author, and her writing style reminds you a little bit of Colleen's writing style, but I loved it. The spice was spicing. The plot was definitely there. And this book, I have no words for it. It was amazing. I could not bring myself to give it a 5 star because I'm really stingy on my 5 star ratings. So it was a 4.75 star. But if I wasn't as stingy on my 5 star ratings, it definitely would have been a 5 star. Anyways, this book was amazing, and I don't think I've ever read this long a romance book because most of the romance books are super short, as you saw with Colleen's books. But this book was just amazing. I could not put it down. Yeah. Um, so that, and then the next book that I read this month, second to last book. It took me about 2 days to read it, and it was not my hair. It was my least favorite book of the month. I read Fearful by Lauren Roberts, which was it was a good book, and it was a novella that comes after a novella that happens during Fearless, and the plot just didn't hook me very well. And it was kind of just stuff was happening, and yeah, it's really hard to explain, but I did like it. It just wasn't my cup of tea. So, yeah, so I rated it 2.5 stars. It wasn't amazing, but it wasn't bad. Um, yeah, and if you guys remember, my January reading wrap up was filmed with just music in the background because I was sick. Good news, I'm not sick anymore. I know I haven't posted in a while because I've run out of stuff to post. But I will get back to a regular posting schedule hopefully soon. Um, so yeah, and then that I read that book on Kindle, got from the library. And then my final book I read of the month. I wanted to end on a banger, but it wasn't my favorite. I might actually rise the rating a little bit because the ending hooked me, but okay, I'll soon. I read Throne of Glass, first book in the Throne of Glass series, first official book. I also read Assassin's Blade technically first, but yes, this book was amazing, but it wasn't my favorite. Because obviously they're just setting up for the plot of the rest of the books. So I can see this book series being 5 stars, but I just couldn't bring myself to rate the very first book 5 stars. I rated it 4 stars, and I'm thinking it might be a 4.25 stars, but I quite literally finished this book about 20 minutes ago. So give me some time to think on the rating for this one. Oopsie, I just dropped it. Uh, yes. So that was the final book that I read. Today is actually Today is February 28th, last of February, and I just finished the last book, February. Also, I'm wondering if you guys want a TBR video, because my TBR is right here. Let me give you a little bit of a sneak peek. It's right here. And yeah, the first book I'm reading of the next month is the last Harry Potter book. So, yeah. Also, if you guys love my reading corner, make sure to let me know. I love my reading corner myself, but let's grab all the books I read this month. Oh my goodness. So this was every book that I read this month. Well, that I read this month, and I quite literally had so much fun. it was the book of romance. It was the month of romance, and I definitely delivered. So, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up, comment down below, subscribe, and turn on post notifications to be notified every time I upload a new video. Thanks for watching!